What's up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today, we'll be chatting with Matt George from Locked On Kings as Keegan Murray has absolutely been balling out in Summer League. Has he been the best rookie in Summer League to this point? What stands out about his game, and has he maybe silenced some of the detractors of the choice to draft Keegan Murray 4th overall for the Sacramento Kings? But first, a quick message from our friends over at BetOnline, because when it comes to betting, you got to check out betonline.net. It's your number one source for all of your sports betting needs and info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news covering MLB, UFC, MMA, boxing. They've got you for all the fighting odds, golf, you name it, they've got it over at BetOnline. It's your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. And right now, you can take a look at who the odds-on favorites are to win the NBA title next season. Right now, the favorites are the Milwaukee Bucks at plus 600. You got the Boston Celtics right behind them at plus 625. Golden State Warriors in third place at plus 650. And then rounding out the top five, the LA Clippers at plus 700 and the Phoenix Suns down at plus 750. So for all of that and more odds, head to their website today to learn more about the trends and action available to you. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Keegan Murray, the best rookie in NBA Summer League. Joining us now is Matt George from Locked On Kings, who you can follow at MattGeorgeSAC on Twitter. Matt, Keegan Murray was balling out in Summer League. He was number 4 amongst all scorers in Summer League at 23.3 points per game, but he was the only rookie to finish in the top 5 of all the Summer League leading scorers. Shot 50% from the floor, 40% from 3, 80.8% from the free throw line, 7.3 boards, 2 assists. He was on a tear throughout Summer League. Are you just what are your immediate impressions as to what you've seen out of him so far to this point? I know it's Summer League, you take it with a grain of salt, but you have to be really excited about what you've seen out of him so far.
I'll pay off your tease right away. Damn right, Keegan Murray was the best rookie in Summer League, and in my opinion, it wasn't particularly close. Look, Keegan got the opportunity to play against the best of the best in terms of this draft class. He and Paolo kind of split halves. I know the Orlando Magic ended up winning that game, but Keegan Murray had the big moment, hitting that big shot in game 1 of Summer League for the Sacramento Kings, that is, to send that game into overtime. And what I love about Keegan's Summer League as a whole is he showed us different things on different nights. He scored over 20 points in every single game. If you include the California Classic 3 games that he played 7 games in total, scored 20 or more points in 6 out of 7 of them. The other game, he scored 9 points and also had 9 rebounds for a near double-double. Took over, had a rough first half against the Indiana Pacers, took over in the second half to help the Kings win that game against Indiana, and went right after Benedict Mathurin. And then I loved his performance against Chet Holmgren and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, the box score is going to show you, or the final score is going to show you, that Oklahoma City won that game. But either looking at the box score or watching the game, I'm sorry, Oklahoma City Thunder fans. I'm sorry, Chet Holmgren fans. He's a great player. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do with OKC. He couldn't hold a candle to Keegan Murray in this game. Keegan had the most aggressive that Keegan was attacking the basket all summer was when Chet Holmgren was on him. He went right at the best shot blocker in Summer League, the best shot blocker in the draft class, and had a field day with him. Also had one of his best scoring games, period, against Oklahoma City. So, I mean, all things considered, Keegan Murray has shown us everything that we wanted to see and more. He's been even better than I expected. And Jackson, I was super high on him. I wanted the Kings to draft him. I'm so glad they did. I'm glad to see so many people, not just in Sacramento, but around the NBA landscape, coming around on him because he absolutely was worthy of a 4th overall pick, which a lot of people didn't think so on draft night.
Yeah, is that kind of the perception that you're seeing or receiving at this point? Is that his Summer League performances really, because again there were 6 out of his 7 scoring absurd numbers. Really, you only look at the one game where he scored 9 points, and that might be the one where you say, okay, maybe a bit of an underwhelming performance in that one, but then to bounce back in the next 5 games and just have a really solid overall performance. Do you see maybe the perception changing a little bit, silencing some of the critics or the doubters about Keegan Murray being selected 4th overall?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what critically are you going to talk about with Keegan Murray's game? Now, I'm not saying that there's not areas that he can definitely improve. And of course, like you said, it's Summer League, so you take everything with a grain of salt. But at the same time, too, Keegan Murray showed things that regardless of competition, you have to be impressed by. And in particular, the big shot that he hit against the Orlando Magic to send that game into overtime. It doesn't matter who's playing for that Orlando Magic team. What he showed in the final seconds of that game, the Kings making that comeback, him forcing the turnover. Actually, it wasn't him, but he ended up getting the ball off the turnover, only had a few seconds left, had the wherewithal to recognize where he was on the floor, where he needed to get for the open three-point shot. Defenders closing out on him, so he pump faked. Paolo and another defender jumped by him, still recognizes he has enough time to go through his motion, and he already has a really naturally quick release. I mean, that shows a level of composure and poise that typically takes NBA players years to develop. He has that right away, and that composure is something that's very consistent with his game. So absolutely, people are coming around on him. They're giving him the praise that he deserves. Now, I'm not for these alleged anonymous scouts that are suddenly saying they thought that he was the second best player in the draft. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. Like, we all heard, we all saw Jaden Ivey was supposed to be better than Keegan Murray. He might still be. Keegan Murray wasn't on the tier of the top three. Hopefully he will be one day. He might never be. But anybody that's starting to say that they knew all along that this is what Keegan Murray is going to be, take it from the guy who is as high on Keegan as anybody here in Sacramento. I didn't know Keegan Murray was going to be this good.
You talk about his composure, his poise, being in the building for that last second shot to send it to overtime against the Magic was something else. The moment he pump faked and the two defenders went flying by him, I was like, this is a bucket. This ball is going in. Before he even elevated for the shot, I was like, it's going to happen. It's almost like one of those storybook endings that kind of has to happen. Unfortunately, the Kings didn't go on to win that game. I wanted them to win that game so bad, Matt. They deserved it. But you talk about the poise, the composure. To you, are those the most impressive kind of traits that Keegan Murray is bringing to the table right now, or is there something else that stands out to you about his game that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, the composure and the high basketball IQ really jump to the front of the line for me. I will also say, too, the quickness of his release is something I didn't fully recognize and appreciate through watching him play in college and watching him in like highlight packages leading up to the draft. But watching him play in person, he gets that shot off really, really quick. And he showed us something, gave us a glimpse of something against the Pacers last Sunday that I'm hoping can be part of his game consistently, because if it is, then he takes his game to another level, and that was creating off the dribble. He had a step back, quick release three from straight away that was nothing but net. A couple possessions later, he does another step back, goes behind the back, hesitates, and then shoots, ended up missing the shot. But you can see him looking to try and score off of the dribble a little bit. We know Keegan Murray is a ridiculously good catch and shoot 3-point shooter, which is going to be great alongside De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. But if Keegan Murray has the potential to create for himself, one of the things that I started thinking about as Summer League went on is the Sacramento Kings can probably get away with taking De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis out of the game at the same time and leaving Keegan Murray on the floor, and the offensive drop-off won't be that significant. He showed that he's able to be effective in a lot of different roles, attacking the basket, shooting, a primary focus on offense, just scoring within the flow of the offense. He did it all this summer.
Is there anything that you were maybe hoping to see a little bit more out of him as Summer League went on? Unfortunately, we were robbed of the opportunity to see Keegan Murray versus Jabari Smith. I know you saw him face off against some of the other top prospects across Summer League. I will never forgive the Kings for shutting down Keegan Murray, although playing 8 games across the California Classic and actual Vegas Summer League might be a tad overkill for a top rookie, so I don't blame them for shutting him down. But was there something you were maybe looking for to see out of his game that you didn't get a glimpse at yet so far?
Look, Paolo Banchero was shut down after 2 games, so Keegan Murray can get shut down after 7. I think that's fair, and I understand too, because I did want to see that Jabari Smith Jr. versus Keegan Murray game. I've seen early odds come out for Rookie of the Year, and I've seen Keegan Murray's like 6th on that list, which is absolutely atrocious, behind the top 4 top 3 Jaden Ivey and one other. It's just dumb. Like Keegan Murray deserves to be much higher than where he's at on that list. But hey, I'm not an odds maker, and maybe that's easy money for Sacramento Kings fans. I'm not sure. But wanting to see more out of him, it's less of a gripe from him. And maybe I could have asked for more from him too. Like, I wanted to see Keegan be a little more demanding. I wanted to see Keegan take over a little bit more. Now, he did in certain stretches of certain games, but when watching him compared to watching Paolo Banchero, Paolo was touching the ball basically every time up the floor. The offense was running through Paolo. There have been large stretches of time this summer where Keegan's been in the game, and he'll touch the ball, but he's not a primary focus on offense, which both shows that to be a 20 points per game scorer and still not be the absolute go-ahead primary focus offensively, that shows that he's capable of scoring within the flow of the offense, which in theory should work really well with the current top guys in Sacramento, right? But at the same time, too, if he's the best player on a summer league team, and of course he was, not even close, I wanted to see him featured a little bit more. Maybe that was on him to be a little more demanding in those spots. So if I had to be nitpicky, also, I mean, he doesn't really create for his teammates. He's not really known as a playmaker. So if I want to be nitpicky about those two things, that's what I can point to. But it's really hard to find anything that wasn't impressive or I didn't like about Keegan Murray's summer.
Neemias Queta was a name that popped up a little bit across Summer League. Any other standouts for the Kings on their Summer League roster that deserve a shout out here?
Yeah, Queta definitely does. I think Queta has a good chance of actually earning a legit NBA contract. He's a two-way player, is going to go into next season as a two-way player, and rightfully so. But a couple of years ago, we saw both Chimezie Metu, who's still on the roster, and Damian Jones, who just signed with the Los Angeles Lakers, go from two-way players to full-time contracts. I think Queta definitely has an opportunity to do that. His shot blocking and his rebounding for his size is definitely something that's appealing to the Kings. Plus, for someone who is as big as he is, he moves really, really well. I was really impressed with his touch around the rim. Now, he also needs to be more physical for someone who's as big as he is. So there are definitely things to nitpick about his game as well. And look, he's a two-way player. So I'm not talking about someone who's going to come in and all of a sudden be a major rotation player for the Sacramento Kings. Keon Ellis, also the other two-way player for the Kings. The Kings signed him to a two-way contract on draft night immediately following the draft out of Alabama. He had a really, really solid summer league. The only area where he did not look good was when the Kings tried to use him as kind of a primary ball handler and a point guard at times. He did not play well there. But as a 3-and-D wing, played really, really well defensively, shot 42%, I think, from three-point range. I didn't see him miss a shot every time he shot in front of opposing benches, and he always turned around to make sure those benches heard about it. So I like Keon Ellis a lot. I think there's a good chance that he can carve out some kind of role with the Sacramento Kings eventually, because 3-and-Ds are hard to come by in the NBA and especially hard to come by here in Sacramento.
Will Keegan Murray's Summer League success translate directly into the NBA? Should he be in the running, or at least maybe one of the top favorites for the NBA Rookie of the Year award right now? You're going to have us covered for all of that and more over at Locked On Kings. Matt, I appreciate you stopping by Locked On NBA with me.
Anytime, Jackson.